Good morning, esteemed guests and participants from around the world. Myself, Dr. Chindu Chandran, representing the Sustainability Reporting Standard Board. We are thrilled to welcome you today's webinar on navigating the social impact landscape, social stock exchange, and social audit standards organized by the Sustainability Reporting Standard Board. As we move toward a more socially responsible business environment, social stock exchanges and social audit standards have become powerful tools for organizations to communicate their social impact efforts transparently. These frameworks not only help align corporate action with societal expectation, but also enable investors and stakeholders to assess the social return of their investments. Today's session is designed to guide organizations in navigating this evolving landscape, fostering a deeper understanding of the social audit process and leveraging the social stock exchange to advance the social objective. Our speaker will lead us through common challenges and critical practices within the social audit standard framework with a focus on how businesses can best prepare for participation in the social stock exchange. Attendees will gain valuable insight on implementing these standards effectively to enhance the credibility of the social impact disclosure and build stronger test-based relationship with stakeholder. It's our pleasure to introduce our distinguished speaker, CA Harsha Ramnani ma'am.
Harsha ma'am is a fellow member of ICI with a diploma in Information System Audit and top-ranking commerce degree from Kanoria Girls College, Jaipur. A registered valuer for securities and financial assets, she holds certification in FAFD, internal audit, in AS, BRSR, and public finance and government auditing. With over 15 years of experience, she specializes in auditing across diverse industries and is a faculty member of various ICI courses. She has international exposure in countries including the USA, EU, and more. I request you, Harsha ma'am, to take over the session.
Thank you so much to the board, and I welcome to all the participants for today's webinar. And I hope you all are equally excited for the topic, and because it's a kind of topic where we, find ourselves more responsible enough. We find it like socially responsibility, our social responsibility towards the society, towards the environment, and many more things. So I'm not going to waste much more time and will start with the presentation itself. Meanwhile, I request participants to please feel free to share your queries in a chat box or a question answer box. I hope I can, clear coordinators, like chat box and a question answer box are active for the queries. You can drop your queries in a same time. I'll try to respond it as soon as possible. I can see in a chat box or a question answer box. And we'll try to give you a few practical, experience which I got in past few years when I was on field for these impact assessments with these social enterprises for few of the engagements. And meanwhile, I'll give you the background about social audit standards framework, how these being are designed, and how we can use the same when we are on a field with respect to the social audit engagements. So, yeah. Yeah, I'll make it full screen. Yeah. So, I hope it's fine. Yeah. So, when we talk about social impact assessment or a social audit, so it's a kind of engagement where more than engagement, we find ourselves as a socially responsible professional or socially responsible person, more than a professional, socially responsible person, where more than professional responsibilities, we have a personal accountability towards the engagement. Because here we are somewhere working for a social cause. We are somewhere working for a problem statement, which is, these social enterprises are trying to address through their activities, through their, certain engagements like awareness programs, or maybe certain products, maybe certain services, or maybe something other like things. So when these social enterprises are trying to address the problem statements, which is public at a large, and we are there to see whether impact has been caused or not, our responsibilities, the responsibilities on our shoulder is on huge, because it's not like just to see whether it is not being overclaimed. We are also equally responsible whether the actual impact which has been caused on society, that we are able to represent in our audit reports are being properly or not. So the social audit standards framework, if I talk about the social audit standards are designed itself like in a manner where you can use the same based on the thematic areas, based on different programs, which helps you to make your report effective, which helps you to make your audit or impact assessment more effective for readers. So I can see first question in a chat box: what additional qualification can be useful to a CA in this field? So as we all of know that for social impact assessment, there is a specific program which is being designed to be a social impact assessor. First, you need to clear an exam which is being conducted by NISM. There is a social impact assessment program, the exam available on NISM portal, the social impact assessor program or social audit program exam. First, that you need to clear. For that preparation, there is a separate preparatory batches regularly conducted by Institute of Social Auditors of India, that you can enroll yourself, and accordingly you can prepare for the exam. Once you clear the exam, then you can take a membership with SRO, Institute of Social Auditors of India, and then you are eligible to conduct a social impact assessment. So this is the additional qualification that you need to conduct a impact assessment. I hope it is clear. So when we talk about the social audit standard framework, this is the framework background or the content that we are going to discuss in next 1 hour. The overview about standards, the framework, how exactly it is being created. We will also discuss about the social audit engagements, how generally we conduct these engagements, what are the elements of these engagements. There will be other few topics that we are going to discuss with respect to the client acceptance, communication to TCWG, similar to the general audits, financial audit that we do, quality control aspects, planning and response to the assessed risk, then field level research agencies, subject matter experts. This is more or less little bit different from other audits, financial audit that we do. So we generally need help for the field level research agencies or subject matter experts, because there are certain subjects which is not simple in nature, and that generally we can do as a chartered accountant or as a normal social impact assessor. So generally we need a help for the subject matter expert. So how that we can use for when we are engaging anyone else, then conducting these engagements, what will be the documentation, how we can do the materiality, internal control, sampling, the similar manner that we do in financial audit. So that all we discussed during next 1 hour, and question answer, so that I will continue during the sessions. This will not be a part of the last. As and when you will post in a chat box or the question answer box, I will try to respond during the session. So let me give you basic overview or a background how actually it started. So 14th January 2023, it was a landmark date which one can note if you are planning to give an exam for the purpose of this impact assessment. Reason: on this date, SRSB, Sustainability Reporting Standard Board of ICAI, they have issued 16 social audit standards effective from 14th of January 2023. These are the major social audit issues specifically on which standards were issued, and these standards are covering major social issues, and these issues are somewhere related to the 17 sustainable development goals, majorly covering the poverty, health, education, gender equality, the climate related issues, national heritage, promoting rural sports, disasters, etc. When you see these standards, when you read these standards, so these standards are divided in 4 parts. Similar to like our accounting standard or standards of auditing. So accordingly, these standards are also given the 4 sections. How these standards are divided? So these standards are divided like, first you will find an introduction, basically what is the purpose of the standard. Then the process of social audit for the particular standard. For example, a particular standard is for poverty. So first, the standard will give you an introduction about what is the status of poverty in India, because these standards basically addressing the problem for Indian problem statement. So that it will give you the introduction about problem statement. Then it will give you the process of impact assessment or social audit. Earlier we were calling it as a social audit initially when this was issued by SEBI. Later on, this term was changed as a social impact assessment. So that is the reason somewhere I'm using the social impact assessment, and many of places it being used as a social audit. So don't be confused between these two terms. Social audit or social impact assessment is being a similar term, like just the name has been changed. So process of social audit has been mentioned in section B. Then assessment of challenges and limitations, how you are assessing, and then appendix session, few annexures with respect to the particular standard has been given. So similar to our accounting standards or standards of auditing, these standards are also being designed. Then if I see a scope about SAS, so these scopes are like whenever you are conducting any social impact assessment or social audit, so these essays needs to be applied when a relevant thematic area you are choosing. So according to you, and you can apply the relevant SAS, relevant social audit standards. So under SEBI, these you need to applicable compliance with SA is mandatory for the social audit for the enterprises who are listed on social stock exchange. Apart from social stock exchange, under CSR rule, when the impact assessment has been considered by for the CSR rule 2020, for that also these SAS applicability is mandatory. There are 2 more questions in chat box. How far is applicability relevant in industries? So as I'm mentioning here, scope of these social audit standards is, first of all, for the social enterprises who are registered and listed on social stock exchange. Apart from that, for the Companies Act 2013, CSR 2020 rule, where my independent impact assessment is mandatory, where these SAS is mandatory. How would an investor know that listed social enterprises has complied all SEBI regulations and social standards? Can an investor know the detail of other donation received, steps to be followed by social auditors or assessor for preparation of impact assessment report, non-financial data? How does the investor ascertain the target have been achieved in true sense? So when you see the format of these reports, new format have been issued by SEBI, Form 2.1, Annexure A, 1, Annexure 1A, 1B, and then there is also guiding for the logic model. So these all formats are being designed where these investors or donors can understand whether the targets are being actually achieved in a true sense, or somewhere it is not being achieved in true sense or not. And because it is a third party assessment, as a social impact assessor who is independent in nature is assessing all these reports, so that assessment somewhere being considered by these investors or donors, they need to rely upon them, because otherwise what is the reason or what is the sense to appoint us if they will not rely on our report? We are independent to these enterprises, so there is no reason to not rely on our report. Similar to like statutory audits that we do, ultimately what shareholders are doing, they are relying on our report. If Yes, there are cases where our reports are also not being prepared in true sense, and that cases are we are saying, but that cases are 1 in 1 lakh or 1,000 cases. So otherwise, our reports are true and fair, where shareholders are relying on our report. So the similar case will happen in social impact assessment as well, where the impact assessor will provide their independent assessment report on Form 2.1 for the listed cases, and that Form 2.1, when you see that form is designed in a manner which is providing all details with respect to the preparation of impact assessment report, and that assessment preparation is complete in all sense, which gives a complete insight to the donor or a funder about the program or project, and step by step, spent of their money on a project or program, and that report needs to be prepared with respect to particular project and program. It is not for the enterprises, it is for the program or project that needs to be prepared. So if a particular enterprises is having 5 programs for which they have separately raised the fund through social stock exchange, so that enterprises needs to prepare 5 Form 2.1. They will not prepare a consolidated Form 2.1. They need to prepare 5 2.1, and social impact assessor will issue 5 independent assessment report for 4 Form 2.1. They will not issue consolidated report or consolidated assessment report. Also, being a social auditor or an impact assessor, you also need to ensure that whatever the guidance is available in standards, you are also following while you are conducting an impact assessment. And that also we need to mention in our impact assessment report or a social audit report whenever we are preparing. These social audit standards are applicable on us when we are empaneled with ISAI, Institute of Social Auditors of India, and when we are undertaking any engagement as per the relevant provisions of SEBI listing agreement and SEBI issue of ICDR or LODR and relevant notification. So for the enterprises who are registered or listed on stock exchange, and whenever you are taking any engagement for the purpose of social enterprises who are registered or listed on stock exchange, these standards are mandatory applicable. This is the list of social audit standard from 100 to 1600. You can see the list. It starts from our poverty section, poverty, malnutrition, inequality, then healthcare services, education, gender equality. 500 is about environmental sustainability, addressing the climate change. Then 600 is national heritage, promoting rural sports, incubators of social enterprises. And the list goes on, which, we end by promoting welfare of migrants and displaced persons. The common enterprises, generally, probably you have seen, I have seen, is with respect to poverty, malnutrition, healthcare services, education, gender equality programs, environmental sustainability. These are the common one from 100 to 500. National heritage, there are few enterprises who are working for them, but very few. It's not like very common enterprises that you generally see, but yes, very few that you or me have seen probably, and they are working to protect the national heritage, art and culture. Training to promote rural sports, nationally recognized sports, para-Olympics sports are very uncommon. So there are very, limited in nature social enterprises that probably you can see in standard of 700. So limited, reports you can see where the application of SAS 700 you will find. Very uncommon. I have personally not seen yet. SAS 800, which is supporting incubators of social enterprises. So this is something uncommon for me. I have not seen personally yet, particularly an incubator who is supporting social enterprises. Then supporting other platforms, which is strengthen the non-profit ecosystem of fundraising and capacity building. Few of examples of the same I have seen personally. A livelihood of rural and urban poor, common. We see, there are multiples enterprises who are working for them. Slum area development, multiple organizations, enterprises who are working for them. Disaster management, including relief and reconstruction activities, we have seen multiple enterprises. Promotion of financial inclusion, multiple enterprises are there. Facilitating access to land and property assets for disadvantaged communities. Any of you anywhere have seen this type of enterprises? Please let me know, because this is again one of the very uncommon, which I have not seen personally, if any of the enterprises is working for 1400. And then these days now this 1500 is very popular again. We are bridging the digital divide in an internet and mobile phone access, addressing issues of misinformation. And the last one is for the migrant and displaced persons. So few organizations are working for a few of the areas where they are working actively, but again very few, not much. So out of this list, for me, very uncommon is SAS 800, and then one is for 1400. These two are little bit difficult one, because practical application I have not seen personally. Other one is common, very common is from 100 to 500. So one practical overview for all of you, 1100, very common example, which is with respect to slum area development, affordable housing. So Dharavi is a common example. 2003-4, government of Maharashtra has decided to redevelop this area, and it is a real example to integrate the planned township of Dharavi redevelopment. What was the process? So section 1 is about objective and scope, how we apply SAS practically. Section 2 is process of social audit or impact assessment. So how generally we take up this as a process? First will come as a data collection. From whom you will collect the data? So we need to see who are our stakeholders, who are the direct beneficiaries, then government, monitoring agencies. Who are the stakeholders? Stakeholder means your different people who are involved in the activities, from whom you will collect the data. So first, people, your primary data holders are your target beneficiaries, your direct beneficiaries. Then from government, because this is a program for government of Maharashtra. So second, your stakeholder, primary stakeholder is government, from whom you collect the data. Then monitoring agencies or other different agencies from whom you will collect the data. Second process will be here, desk review. Whatever the data you have collected from this process, you will start analyzing that data. You will start see whether data it's clean, before analyzing the data, cleaning will happen. And then you see whatever the data available online, you start analyzing the same before visiting the same. And then you start visiting the slum, understand the ground realities, that whatever we are able to see in the documents which we collected from our stakeholders, whether it is matching with the ground realities or not. Third step will be the inspection and the personal interviews. When you have a data within your hand which is analyzed properly, then you will match that data with a inspection and personal interviews. For that, in a social impact assessment or a social audit, this third step is always very much important. Your financial audit or any other type of audit, anytime you can done online, you can conduct a online, or this can be done in any other mode. But impact assessment, mandatory physical visit is required. It is not possible to done on online basis completely. Your physical visit on field, your regular visit on field is must, because you are working many times for the people or for the beneficiaries who are not who are underprivileged or underserved people, who are sensitive in nature, and whom you need to make comfortable first to gather the data, okay, to understand their concern and to see whether with this program or with this activity or the kind of awareness program whether actually impact has been caused or not. Before program, what was the situation, and after the program, what was the situation. That comparison will only happen once you visit the place, once you understand the situation from that target beneficiaries, by understanding situation before implementation of program and after implementation of program. These type of people many times are very sensitive, many times are very hesitant to share their experience. So that maturity level your team should have when you are visiting to the sites. So that also you need to understand that which particular team from your office site is visiting the field, and that team is having that kind of maturity or not. It's not like that your interns from your team or from your office can visit the site and can have a standard questionnaire set and can ask people questions and can gather the data. It's not possible. Impact assessment is something which requires a sensitivity, which requires the understanding, which to sensitivity and understanding with respect to the target beneficiaries. Many times these target beneficiaries are kind of background which required a lot understanding and a lot time to make them comfortable. So accordingly, your team should be mature. Your team should understand their issues. Then evaluation of questions. So when you conduct your field visit or you conduct these interviews or focus group discussions, so method will be based on your target beneficiaries groups or these people, whether it is unstructured or structured, or maybe the group discussions, or maybe any other survey or a questionnaire mode. It can be based on their age, it can be based on their education level, it can be based on any other parameter. And after that, the evaluation of questions is standard of living, house allocated, sanitation standards, based on this example. Then key metrics for the evaluation of the project programs. So it can be who are the participants, their standard living, affordable housing, assessment of the evaluation criteria, qualitative, quantitative. It will be done in a section 2. Our section 3 will be assessment of challenges and limitation. This will be always a part of your impact assessment report. Without this, your impact assessment report always here incomplete, because it is not possible that you will not face any challenges when you are conducting a impact assessment. It is mandatory, or not kind of the mandatory thing, sorry. It is not possible that you will not face any challenge. See, we are working for certain good cause purpose, and when you are working for his good cause purpose, obviously you will find somewhere something challenges. Not necessarily that out of 100 people will only support you. There will be few people who will not support your cause. There will be few group of set of people who will not support your cause. So that challenges, that areas of improvement you need to mention in your report. Similarly, limitation of your assessment. What is the non-responding population, size of sample who are not responding your your questions, their low literacy level, their hesitation, they're not understanding your queries, they're not understanding your purpose. That can all again be a reason for limitation of your assessment. There can be one more limitation, which it's actually practical limitation for because that right now we are facing. We are conducting one impact assessment where actually impact we can see it is for farmers. Okay, where the enterprises is helping them to get the good crop by helping them how to do a cropping, considering the season, by giving them understanding of good farming, and providing them pesticides and other things. And they are also getting a benefits, but and the program has been closed. But now after 2 years and 3 years, impact has been caused, that enterprises is not having their recent contact details, and now we are facing the challenge, we are not having their contact details. And when we are not having contact details, how we can conclude that whether impact has been caused or not? So that again can be a limitation of the assessment. And section 4 can be your appendix, the list of people you have interviewed, any other appendix which you find it relevant. Can a CA who has not done this course certify social audit report? No, CA who is not qualifying this course cannot certify the social audit report for the enterprises who are registered and listed on social stock exchange. These are not permitted. So for that, you need to qualify this course. CAs are not permitted to certify these social audit reports. So applicability, we already discussed, it is applicable from January 14, 2023. Objective is to provide uniform structured approach to cover basic principles and elements and to provide the related guidance for the preparation of impact assessment reports. Two type of assurance engagement can be there, similar to like our financial audits, reasonable or limited. So accordingly, you can decide what your client is actually expecting from the engagement. Few excluded services are there. So engagements covered by standards for the related services such as agreed upon procedures, the preparation of tax returns, consulting or advisory engagements, these are not included here. This is the scope of our social audit standard framework. So this already we have discussed. It is applicable for impact assessments. For CSR impact assessment may also be applied, as I already mentioned in my previous slide. And for the may agreed apply to principle for the impact assessment restricted use. For financial audits or review, it is not applicable. What is the practical experience during inspection and the personal interview? Do people hesitate to answer our queries? Yes, it depends on what type of the engagement you are. So if, as I mentioned, like social audit standard from 100 to 500, these are the common type of the problem statement which many of the enterprises are addressing. So that type of the target beneficiaries are sometimes do not hesitate to respond your queries. But if the programs like which is not very common and where the problem statement is little bit somewhere restricted in nature, like there are programs which is working for the upliftment of the sex workers, there are the programs which is working for the upliftment of the HIV AIDS patients, there are the programs which is working for the upliftment of the few Naxalites people, workers. So that kind of the programs where they have hesitation, they do not want to share their data with you, they do not want to share their KYC with you. Being an impact assessor, first of all, what is my purpose? I want first of all to understand whether whom I am interviewing as an auditor, what I do, whether that person is actually a beneficiary or not. So my auditor sense say whether that person is actual beneficiary or not. So I want to see their Aadhaar or their PAN, but they do not want to share that. So that is the reason they start hesitating. So that kind of the hesitation start, and when you start with that kind of the questions, whether they are having you are asking for their Aadhaar, you are asking for their PAN, they think that you will share these information with public, so then they do not share their information with you. So, and when the program is with kind of, certain kind of things which is not somewhere acceptable in the society. For example, if the program is with respect to the upliftment of the transgenders in a society, you are working for the education of the transgenders, or you are working for the job, certain job opportunities for the transgenders, so that these they people think that you are just wants to make them joke, and it's not a serious thing that you want to discuss, so they do not support you in terms of answering your queries. Can a CA certify social audit report of NGO not listed on stock exchange? For impact assessment, now CA cannot certify the social audit report. CA can certify financial audit report, but impact assessment report, CA cannot certify. So for impact assessment, you need to be a social impact assessor, you need to be a social auditor. For that, you need to clear the social audit exam, which is available on NISM portal. And once you clear the exam, you can take a membership with Institute of Social Auditor of India. Then you are eligible to certify the social audit report or impact assessment report. Any other query?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So this is the last slide from my side, which I'm going to discuss with all of you. How generally we conduct the social audit engagement. So there are the 5 elements of the social audit engagements generally we follow when we are conducting any engagement. What are these 5 elements? Our first element is here that this engagement is practically a 3-party relationship. One is the impact assessor, social auditor, generally we are. Then a responsible party for the social enterprises and the intended user who are going to use our report, or sometimes our appointing agency. So generally we are being appointed by the funders or donors, and many times now the regulatory requirements, like under SEBI regulations, we need to conduct an impact assessment report. Second is to conduct an impact assessment, there should be a social project, program, or intervention expo. As I mentioned in my previous slide, we cannot conduct an impact assessment for enterprises. To conduct an impact assessment, there should be a project or a program. As a whole enterprises, we cannot consider any impact assessment. If any enterprises are having more than one project or program, separate impact assessment report will be prepared for the same. Second, there will be always a social project monitoring framework. And now under SEBI regulation, if I say theory of change or logic frame model framework, we need to apply here. Theory of change model or a logic model framework is a complete different framework which requires a full session, or you can say a 1 or 2 hour session to understand. In short, if I explain you how theory of change actually works, it means each and every program, whatever I am auditing, you need to see for that what is my input, what is my activity. These are two part which is a part of my project or program as an input. Then for the purpose of my audit report, what is my output, what is my outcome, and then what is my impact. Input means how much amount I need to spend for the program or project, how much human resource or how much people I need for the program, how much sometimes we can say resources I need for the particular program or project. That is my input. Then activity means what kind of the activity I am going to conduct for particular program or project, whether it is an awareness program, whether I'm going to give them any vocational training, whether I'm going to produce any product, or whether I'm going to provide any kind of services. That is my activity. After that, my other three components of theory of change theory of change model is first is output. For assessment of impact, for assessment of my long term impact, first of all I need to see with my input and activity what quantitative change I am able to see. With my vocational training program, how many of people I am able to train. So that number, for example, with my vocational training program, where I spent for 20 lakh rupees or 30 lakh rupees, my input, I was able to train 10,000 people. So that 10,000 people are my output. Then what is the outcome of that training? From that output, from out of that 10,000 people, these 10,000 people are able to get a good job, and now their families are living their cost of, they are having a good standard of life. So that is my outcome, short-term benefit. And what is the long-term impact for this vocational training program? With a good standard of life, they are able to get out of poverty line. They are having a good standard of life. Their children are having a good education. So ultimately, which particular SDG, standard sustainability development goal, I am able to address that poverty sustainable development goal. And for this kids, I'm able to address the good quality education, good peaceful life partnership. There are multiple SDGs which I'm able to address. So this is how generally the project monitoring framework we apply here. Then my fourth element here is the audit evidence. In terms of audit evidence, whenever I'm conducting an impact assessment or a social audit, because here now term is impact assessment or audit. Being an auditor or an impact assessor, if I'm conducting the same, I should have certain evidence for the same. If I'm not having a evidence, and sometime after anyone is coming or asking me how I frame that opinion that impact has been caused or not, how I will prove that. For that, I should have a evidence. My evidence can be oral, my evidence can be physical, my evidence can be documentary. For oral, I can record them. For my physical evidence, I can make a file. For my documentary evidence, I can make a file. So accordingly, I can make my evidence file properly and I can keep them as per statutory requirement. And last element is here my impact assessment report. So for my regulatory requirement, Annexure 1A, 1B, Form 2.1 and Logic Framework Model already prescribed by SEBI for the purpose of submission. Apart from that, these standards are giving us a audit report format which we need to apply for the purpose of, if you are preparing your CSR impact assessment report for the purpose of listed company, that you can follow. Or if you are appointed by any other party where there is no specific format, so that in that case, the social audit standard report format you can apply and you can use that for the purpose of preparation of report. So this is how generally we have an element when we are conducting an impact assessment. If there is any query, so that can be that I can answer. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Incubators of SC, so that is again mystery for me, and that is the reason I was saying that I also want to see any of the social enterprises which is working for as an incubator of social enterprises. What I understand is specifically by theoretical knowledge of incubators of social enterprises. So what I understand, like uh, similar to like we have many incubators for the startups who are helping and guiding the startups to make them understand how to run a business or how to run their startup. So similar kind of the incubators somewhere we can think about who will help these social enterprises how they can work for the certain social cause, which particular area or a problem statement is still not being considered by any of the social enterprises and being considered by them. So that I think being considered and considered be as an incubator. Can participants from Bangladesh take the test? You need to see whether any NISM center is available on Bangladesh center or not. If any exam center is available on Bangladesh, then you can take a test, or any online facility of NISM portal is available, then you can take a test from Bangladesh. I work in Accenture, and Accenture work very strongly in refugee planning, disaster relief, eco action development. Okay. If I understand, this is just an update from a company side, and I also have a few friends from a Accenture, so I know about their work culture, and yes, they work a lot for these people. If an enterprise is already spending CSR, by law now they are supposed to provide impact. So as per CSR rule 2021, where the CSR spend is more than 1 CR in a year, and for the project, and that project total project size is more than 10 CR, then the independent assessment of that spend is mandatory under CSR rules. So that is required. You can see many of the listed companies independent assessment CSR report is available in their annual report, or just read CSR Amendment Rules 2021. That rule is available. Do you measure impact at the stages of connect and improved also, or just at a transformation stage? Depends on our engagement, sir. At whatever stage they appoint us, we accordingly measure the impact. Okay, so for Accenture, for sure, I will see whether they are working for any incubators as well. For top 150 companies as per market capitalization, just see their CSR annexure. You will find their independent CSR impact assessment report. So that can be seen. For social impact assessment report, because their dates are regularly being extended. Now the updated date is 31st January 2025. Therefore, no public impact assessment report is available on public domain. Still, we all are working on the reports, and for listed companies only, impact assessment reports are available on public domain. Chartered accountant in practice, if you are having a social impact assessment, this membership with SRO, and your firm is registered with SRO, then you can entitled to take social audit. With the input from received from the responsible. So question number 16, how will the input for project monitoring framework received from responsible party can be authenticated? It's a lengthy process, so that needs again more time to discuss. I think we can have a separate session for the monitoring process, and accordingly we can discuss the same. For monitoring framework, I think I can request committee to have a separate session. In that separate session in 2 hours, we can discuss the same in length, and I will explain you the complete monitoring framework in detail, how generally we follow the process, what are the challenges, limitation you can face, and accordingly we can, discuss the same in length. Is there any query?
Thank you, ma'am. I think there are no further questions, so we can end the session now.
Okay, thank you so much.
Uh, Thank you, ma'am. And sorry, participants, due to some unavoidable circumstances, we have to cut short the session. And thank you, Asha, ma'am, for your insightful presentation on navigating the social impact landscape, social stock exchange, and social audit standards. Your thorough exploration of social stock exchange framework and social audit standards, along with your practical guidance on navigating common challenges, has offered us invaluable insight into building credible, impactful social disclosures. Your discussion on implementation strategies and best practices will undoubtedly help organizations prepare for transparent and effective participation in the social impact space. We also express heartfelt thanks to our chairperson and vice chairman for their ongoing support and vision in organizing impactful webinars like today's. Your leadership continues to guide us all in the journey towards responsible and transparent social impact reporting. Finally, a sincere thanks to all our participants for your active active engagement throughout today's discussions. Your questions and reflections have enriched the session and contributed to a deeper collective understanding of the social stock exchange and social audit standards. Together, we are advancing meaningful, transparent, and effective social impact practices. Please stay connected with us for future webinars as we continue exploring ways to champion sustainability and social responsibility. Thank you all once again for your participation. Stay committed to driving positive social change, and we look forward to seeing you at future events. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so
Uh,
much.
yes, sir. You can